What's up everyone, Adam from Cape Crawlers, and in this video I'm going to build two brand new mini monster trucks. We got our hands on the Rampart kit for the FMS Smasher with the mini Godzilla motor. We're going to take this thing up to level 11. Also got my hands on the brand new monster truck kit from Furitek for the TRX4M. So we're going to do a TRX4M spare parts monster truck build. Now I'm going to try my best to make these things wild and impractical. It's going to be a fun one, so let's jump in and check it out. So here's our kits. We're going to build two monster trucks today. We've got two kits from Furitek. This is what we're going to work on. First thing we're going to take a look at, let's look at the Max Smasher kit. So this is the blue aluminum monster truck kit for the Smasher. We've also got the brushless Greyhound motor kit. This is an in-runner speed motor with the transmission that Furitek offers. So this is going to drop into our chassis. It's going to give us tons of power. Huge fun factor in this thing. Now I have two Smasher candidates here. This is the Smasher V2. This is my primary Smasher that I've been using for the most part. We also have a V1, the Max Smasher, that has basically become our spare parts rig. It's all torn to pieces. We've robbed pretty much the entire drivetrain out of it. So it's left with pretty much the bare chassis. So I think this is going to be our basis for the new monster truck, since it's already pretty much stripped. Suspension and axles and everything work perfectly, so I think this will be a good candidate for the swap. Oh, it's cool looking. Look at that metallic blue, shiny anodized aluminum. There's lots of pieces in here for one of these kits, more so than the typical Furitek chassis kit, I feel. Here's our rails. Lots and lots of different options for shock placement, linkage mounts, looks like. ESC, battery tray, skid plate with the Furitek logo on it. That's truck number one. I'll open up the motor transmission combo first before we move on. Oh yes, here's our full transmission, ready for drive shaft. So this has the Greyhound motors. This is a small in-runner motor. Still kicks out big power and big speed out of this little thing. So this should be a direct drop in here. We will need to upgrade our electronics. We'll have to put a Furitek ESC on here. See what I can find for a receiver. But that's all fine. I got spare parts to do that. Number two, this is a brand new kit from Furitek. This is the TRX4M monster truck chassis kit. So if you want to convert your Traxxas TRX4M to a monster truck, this is how you do it. Now this one I know does not accept bodies. It's just a raw carbon fiber kit. Does come in the titanium as well. We opted for the carbon fiber. Very light, very strong. We have our ESC tray, battery tray in the middle here. Very simple. Just goes together, slots together like this. So you can kind of see the frame of the truck. So it's going to be just kind of like a raw chassis monster truck. Now I'm not going to convert any of our TRX4Ms here. I'm going to do a scratch build. So I've got enough components, I believe, to do a full spare parts monster truck build for the TRX4M. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to dig into my parts bin and see what I got and pull together the inventory to build this thing. So step one here, what I've done with this kit. I got going on here and figured I should probably provide some instructions since there's none in the kit. So the two frame rails, vertical frame rails, went up on the side. This longer piece goes in the middle. The Furitek logo I had facing up, and then took the skid plate and attached that to the bottom. The skid plate does not look directional, so I don't think it matters which direction you put it on. So this is step one, and it kind of gives you the basis of the frame here. So the kit is going together really fast actually. So step two, what I did, I put the cross members on the top. They come with these tiny little Phillips screws, went in no problem. Put the body mounts on the front and back. These have posts that fit inside the chassis rails, and then the aluminum pieces themselves are threaded, which is really nice. Same thing with the back there, and the skid. So all of the aluminum pieces are all threaded, so when you put the bolts in, there's no nuts on the other side, which makes assembly really easy. So here it is. Now in theory, we should be able to put a body on it. So I'm going to try that right now. So here it is with the body on it. It actually fits really well. My body's in a little rough shape, but that's okay. It's going to get worse. Fits perfectly on there, nice and snug, better than the stock chassis, I would say, for the body mounting. So this is going to be fun. You can choose if you want to run it with the raw cage or if you want to put your Smasher body back on it. You have the option. It fits perfect in there. So next step, we're going to start taking components off of our roller over here and start bolting it up. Now it should be a pretty clean swap. We're basically just going to take the nylon chassis off of this one and put the aluminum one on. So I'm going to start making the change right now. Okay, making good progress on the Rampart monster truck FCX24. So we're pretty much all assembled. This part was really easy, bolting up the chassis to the aluminum unit. The lower links just attached to the skid plate here. The Y links, the upper Y links. You have a lot of options for mounting. I just kind of put them smack in the middle here where I felt looked good. Shocks, again, I just kind of mocked them up where it looked like they were in pretty good shape. They've got nice smooth action on it. I got metal drive shafts for this because I know that this Greyhound motor is going to shred components in this thing. So I'm trying to put metal wherever I can. With the new electronics I'm going to be putting in here, I can run whatever servo I want. I don't have that funky plug from the FCX24 anymore. So I put an Emax on here. It's got a Trio aluminum steering linkage. I did get the motor and transmission bolted up. That was no problem. One thing I didn't talk about earlier was the variable speed servo. So there is a little mounting tray in here for the variable speed servo, but I'm not going to be utilizing that in this build. I'm going to just make sure that it's in high gear and leave it as is. I've not been successful figuring out how to use the variable speed servo in aftermarket electronics, so I'm not going to mess with that in this build either because I just haven't figured out a workaround. As the variable speed servo, again, uses this tiny little plug from FMS. I suppose you could fit a standard micro servo in there and find some way to hook your latch on there, but I don't know. That's a project for another day. But in this build, we're just going to leave it in the high speed. I think it's going to be plenty of fun. So we're pretty much ready for electronics at this point. I'm going to situate my electronics. I'm going to be running the FlySky GT5 setup here with the Lizard Ultimate to power it. We've got plenty of room on our tray and things here for our electronics and our battery. So this should work out really good. So we're in the home stretch now. I'm going to assemble this and wrap it up, and then we'll take it for a spin. So here we are with the Rampart kit all installed. I got my electronics situated in there really nice. The FlySky receiver and the Lizard Ultimate, they tuck in the cab perfectly. I was hoping to be able to run one of my bigger 900 milliamp batteries on the back, but I couldn't get the body to close. So I went back to my go-to 450 milliamp from EcoPower here. That should close nicely, I think. So we're pretty much at the stage now where we can try this thing out. I just want to make sure the body fits before I do. I think we're good. Look at that, man. This thing looks like a legit monster truck. We could fit way bigger tires under here now. It looks like it's like crazy top heavy looking. I could bring the chassis down quite a bit with the shock placement. Maybe I'll do that before we get going because this thing just looks crazy right now as it is. I'm going to take the body off and fire this thing up, and then I'll adjust my suspension. Yep, got good steering. Oh, I think I'm in neutral. Whoa. Holy cow. Jeez, it jumped right off the bench. So that first test, it was in low gear. Man, so you push it in and lock it in place there. There's got to be a way to do that. Okay, so we're in high speed mode right here. Holy cow. Oh. Oh my gosh, this thing is crazy. Oh. Okay. We'll see if the body fits, and then I'll mess with the details here. Okay, cool. So the body fits perfectly with that 450 milliamp battery on there. I'm just going to adjust the shocks to bring the chassis down a little bit so we don't get that crazy high ride height, and then I need to figure out a way to lock the transmission into gear, and then we'll take it out and have some fun with it. Alright guys, let me show you what I did to get my transmission locked up. So what I ended up doing was throwing the variable speed servo in there, if you can see that. It's not hooked up to anything, but I just positioned the arm in a way that it pulls the transmission shaft so it engages the high speed. Now if I really wanted to put it back in low gear, I could just move that arm and do it manually, but right now we should be good to go, locked in that high speed gear range. So hopefully that works. I'm going to put the body on and give this thing a spin. All right, here we are, first runs. This thing is nuts. Holy moly. Now I do have to go into the Furitek app. I can tune that drag brake and customize this thing a little bit because it is just gnarly right now. See where I have the body on. Oh my god. Wow! Then you landed it. All right, my friends, so we're in pretty good shape here now, ready to start the TRX4M monster truck build. I've assembled the full front end with all of the Next Racing components, the links, servo, everything is put together. Same thing with the rear. That's ready to go. The motor, swapped out the motor. I've got the Pro Enduro motor mounted up to the speed transmission. This is ready to go as well. Drive shafts are assembled. Battery tray, ESC. So we're pretty much ready to throw everything onto the new chassis now. So let's do this together. It looks pretty simple. Just slots in there real nice. All right, there's our skid in there. Now we're going to put my axles on. I'm going to do the rear first. Okay, here we are with the rear end done. One of the things to make sure you do is slide in your battery tray here before you tie everything up. I almost forgot that, and it would have been a nightmare to take all this apart. So we got the stock battery tray in, fits right in there perfectly. With the rear end on, I just kind of threw the shocks on where I feel like they look and work well. You can always adjust these. The chassis is not threaded, so you're going to have to use these lock nuts on the other side of your shock bolts. But we got lots and lots of options for shocks. Since these Next Racing ones are pretty long, I mounted them up pretty high and vertical. So I don't need any crazy angles or wild mounting positions because they've got a lot of range on these, and they're going to keep the chassis up pretty high, which is going to be good. They feel pretty stiff, but I think for a monster truck, these will work out. Next up, we're going to move into the front. We're going to assemble the front, then we'll put the electronics on the tray, and then we should be pretty much done. Not much to this thing. It's pretty easy assembly. Here's our finished product. Came out pretty rad, actually. I was initially skeptical of this kit. Why would I want or need a TRX4M monster truck? But now seeing it, it's pretty cool because it's bigger than the 124s, like the Max Smasher. It appears to be. I'll have to line them up in just a minute, but the chassis is pretty cool. Everything fits in there really nice. I love that the battery tray, a lot of this just feels factory. It's super clean. The Next Racing shocks on here, they work good. These fat links kind of bind early though. That's one of the reasons why I didn't keep them on my TRX4M crawlers, but they work completely fine on here. And the Next Racing shocks, they look awesome on this monster truck, I think. They're big and chunky. They really fit the character of the build. So when we fire this thing up and try it out, I'm really anxious to see how this thing does with the speed gears and the Pro motor. This should be really cool. Got good steering. Got a little bit of binding from the tires on the shocks there. At full lock. Oh man, this thing. Wow, this thing has got some power. And at the same time feels really smooth. Look at that. Can slow it down. This is about as slow as I can get it to go right there. Very cool. Remember, this has the multimodal ESC, so I can tune my ESC. I'll probably put it to take it off of crawler mode here so I can release that drag brake a little bit. Yeah, that's better. I want to make sure I can freewheel. We'll experiment with the modes, but this is pretty cool as it is. Let me get some size comparisons for you guys first before I run this thing. So yeah, if you can see that, it is indeed much bigger. The TRX4M, chassis-wise, the wheelbase is significantly longer. Probably about an inch longer, I would say. The chassis overall, pretty similar size. It's just the length of the chassis, I think, and it might not even be the length of the chassis itself. It might just be the wheelbase from the links on the TRX4M. But in either case, let's look at the width on here. Pretty similar width. Yeah, so I think they are very close, very similar except for the wheelbase, but both very cool trucks. And look at these things. They look awesome on the bench, don't they? This is a really neat project, actually. Okay, let's get this thing fired up. I want to run the Traxxas and see how this thing works. Here's TRX4M monster truck. It is pretty quick. Doesn't have the turning like the FCX does, obviously, because this has the locked diffs. So it's kind of a makeshift monster truck, but works pretty good. Looks super cool. On the reef stunt ramp, it's a nice jump. Nice. These things are so fun. So one of the things I'm particularly interested in with the TRX4M build is the speed. So on the left, we've got the monster truck with the Pro Enduro motor and the speed gears. And on the right, we have my son's Defender running the Endura red motor and stock gearing. So let's take a look at the speed, how these things compare. Now my son's Defender is also much heavier. And the monster truck has bigger tires, so it's going to have a speed advantage right from the get. But let's try it out and just see for the fun how these things stack up. Whoa! Wow, that monster truck is fast. Traxxas is having a rough time. I think I stripped out the gears in the rear end already. Hear that?
How did you do it?
Oh yeah. I should have put the steel gears in.
You should have. I did it.
That thing is crazy. These little monster trucks are a blast. I just have so much fun with these things. It's great to work on something different and do something fun and wild and impractical. These little things certainly scratch that itch when you want something fast and silly. So let's talk about the kits. So first off, let's talk about the TRX4M monster truck kit. When this first came out, I was pretty skeptical. I didn't really feel the need to convert a TRX4M to a monster truck. Wasn't even thinking about making a TRX4M monster truck. But I gotta say, I really like the kit. It's really well made. It goes together really easy. I think it looks cool. And combined with the Next Racing aluminum axles and the shocks, it actually turned out to be a pretty cool build. There are a couple of things that you run into when you try to make a monster truck out of something that isn't meant to be a monster truck, because we've got the locked diffs. The turning radius on this is nowhere near as good as on the Smasher. I also wish that I'd gone with the metal differentials because I ended up stripping out the rear end really easy. Don't like that. So I'm gonna have to tear this thing apart and put the metal diffs in. The Smasher Rampart, holy cow, this thing is a wild beast. So cool. I love the chassis kit on this thing. It looks like a legit Monster Jam truck with the big aluminum cage hanging down. So good. I love that the body fits on it. It fits better than the stock chassis, I think. Furitek did a really good job with this Rampart chassis. It fits the monster truck character and the setup of the Smasher really, really well. So I am really liking this kit. I'm probably going to buy another one for Axel, I think, so that we can convert his Smasher into an aluminum version as well. And of course, got to have the mini Godzilla motor because this thing is absolutely hilarious. It is so fast and powerful. I didn't even try it on 3S because it is so brutally fast on 2S. I could not imagine what it'd be like on 3S. But stay tuned because I will throw a 3S battery in it and we will run this thing through its paces. It's going to be blisteringly fast on 3S. It's going to be fun. But both of these kits are great, and I really had a blast with this project. Both of these kits are also available now from Furitek, and I will link them down in the description below. The TRX4M Rampart carbon fiber kit is $50. The aluminum version for the FMS Smasher is $60. There is also an upgraded kit for the Smasher that comes with color-matched aluminum links. The mini Rocketman motor combo for the FMS Smasher with that brushless mini Godzilla motor and the transmission is available for $100. And let me know in the comments down below which monster truck you liked the most. Did you like the blue Smasher or did you like the carbon fiber Traxxas? As always, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your time. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I will see you in the next video.